Okay, good morning, students. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you. Today we are going to discuss about the pathology of respiratory system part 2. Okay, for the macroscopic structure, this is the comparative anatomy of lung in some animal, yeah. In rabbit, dog, sheep, pig, monkey, and also the human lung. We know that the lung is divided into two side lobes, yeah, two side lobes, the right and left lobes. And in animals, the right lobes usually have 3 up to 4 uh, uh, up 3 up to 4 lobes, yeah, the cranial upper cranial lobes, and then the right middle lobes, right lower lobes, and also the accessory lobes. And the left part of the lung usually divided into two up to 3 lobes, the upper left and the lower left lobes. But in human there is differentiation. Yeah. Human lungs only has 3 lobes in the right and 2 lobes in the left lung. And this is the comparative anatomy of small animal lungs: mouse, rat, hamster, and guinea pig. Mouse, rat, and hamster have similar number of the lobes, 4 lobes in the right lung and only 1 lobe in the left lung. And there is exception in guinea pig, where 4 lobes in the right lung and 3 lobes in the left lung. This is rodent lung or lung in rodent, yeah. Especially in mouse, the right lung consists of 4 lobes: the right cranial lobes, right middle lobes, and then the right caudal lobes, and also the accessory lobes that located beneath the heart. And then the left lung has only 1 lobe. And this is human lung. The regional anatomy of the lungs in humans. The right lung consists of 3 lobes: upper cranial lobes, middle lobes, and lower lobes. We wrote accessory lobes, not like in animals. And the left lung only consists of 2 lobes, upper and lower lobes. And this is the lymphatic vessels and lymphatic nodes of the lungs. There are several lymphatic nodes that located adjacent to the trachea, the extrapulmonary bronchus and intrapulmonary bronchus. And you know that lymphatic vessels and lymphatic nodes have function in drainage the fluid, yeah, fluid homeostasis, yeah, fluid homeostasis in the interstitial tissue. And and also for immunosurveillance, immunosurveillance cells to transfer or to transfer or circulating the immunosurveillance cells throughout the body. And the respiratory system also has this system ya, this lymphatic circulatory system. And the human lung, especially in the component of conducting component or conducting airways, yeah. In the human lungs, the airways are a succession of branching tubes that divide and become smaller and more numerous as they transition from bronchi to bronchioles and finally the terminal bronchioles, which supplies the respiratory zone where gas exchange occur. And the portion of the lung supplied by the terminal bronchiole is known as the acinus in all three species. This is the anatomy of the lower respiratory tract from bronchi until bronchioles. Bronchi or bronchus divided into three parts from upper to the lower part. Yeah. The upper part is the segmental bronchus, and all bronchi or bronchus have a cartilage plate, located in the wall, yeah, in the wall of the bronchus. And the upper part is segmental bronchus, and then the large intrasegmental bronchi. Large intrasegmental bronchi have branching, yeah, surrounding the tube, and then small intrasegmental bronchi, and the diameter of this pipe or tube becomes smaller, yeah, from upper to the lower part. And the cartilage becomes sparser, mostly at the points of branching. And then when the bronchi continues to the lower part, yeah, particularly the bronchioles, there are no further cartilage in the wall. And then the bronchioles consists of two parts, yeah. There are terminal bronchiole and then the respiratory bronchiole. The respiratory bronchiole continues to the alveolar sacs and alveoli, and this component also called with acinus, and lobules refers to the part of the lung that started from the terminal bronchiole until the alveoli. By this is the larger image of acinus started from the terminal bronchiole, and then the respiratory bronchioles. Respiratory bronchioles have three orders: the first, second, and the third order. And the alveoli appear at this level, starting to appear at this level. So why this part of bronchiole is called with respiratory bronchioles. And then the bronchiole continues to the alveolar ducts, alveolar sac or sacus alveolaris, yeah, and also Also, there are some opening of the alveolar ducts and the pore of cone that connects between one alveoli to another alveoli. And then the microscopic structure, this is the normal histology of the lung. That this organ were fixed by intratracheal perfusion of fixative to retain the normal distension of airways. And then this is the bronchioles. The bronchioles that branching and to the this is the terminal bronchiole, yeah, and then it continues to the respiratory bronchiole and then make branching until it become alveoli that have clear airspace lumen. And this is the normal gross anatomy of the lung. The parenchyma appears homogeneously pink and slightly deflated due to loss of negative intrathoracic pressure when the personnel open the thorax. And then this is the normal histology of the lung. We can see some structures that normally become components of the lung. This is the intrapulmonary bronchus. Intrapulmonary bronchus lined by the mucosa, the epithelial mucosa, and then the lamina propria, smooth muscle, submucosa, and then the adventitia, and there is cartilage plates here, and the blood vessel, the artery pulmonaire, the pulmonary vein, and then the parenchyma of the lung that consists of numerous alveoli. And this is the bronchiole that lined by mucosal folds, and lamina propria, smooth muscles, adventitia, and there are also lymphatic nodules, yeah. Lymphatic nodules that normally located or distributed in the lung parenchyma, especially near to the bronchiole or bronchus. This is the intrapulmonary bronchus histology by transverse section. This is the lumen of the bronchus, and then the bronchial epithelium that bronchial epithelium, and then the lamina propria, smooth muscles, and adventitia or connective tissue, and then some seromucous bronchial glands, blood vessels, adipose cells, cartilage plates. This is the hematoxylin eosin staining of the normal intrapulmonary bronchus. Same with previous picture. And this is the terminal bronchiole by transverse section. This is the lumen of the bronchiole, and then the mucosal epithelium that forming a fold shape. Yeah. So this also called with mucosal fold. And then lamina propria, and then the smooth muscle, adventitia, and the pulmonary artery. This is the respiratory bronchiole. Respiratory bronchiole have alveolar outpocketing or alveolar opening um, in the peripheral or in the wall, yeah, of the bronchiole, and the mucosa consists of simple cuboidal epithelium without kinocilia. And this is the alveolar duct, ductus alveolaris, and the alveoli opening into the alveolar duct. And this is the structure of alveolar walls and the alveolar cells. Alveoli lined by thin septum, yeah, or thin septa. That in the septa there are some simple structures like capillaries, blood capillaries. So there are many blood capillaries in the septa alveolaris, and then the type 1 pneumocyte, or this is the alveolar cells. Alveolar cells divided into type 1 and type 2 pneumocyte, and this is the type 1 pneumocyte. And then the type 2 pneumocyte that have dome shape that protrude towards the lumen of the alveoli. And there are some alveolar macrophages, yeah, that normally resident uh, near to the alveolar septum. This is the schematic picture of the alveolus or alveoli. Type 1 and type 2 cells. This is the type 2 and this is the type 1. Type 1 have flat nucleus. It has flat nucleus and cytoplasm and line the entire alveolar lumen. And then there is type 2 alveolar cells that have dome-like shape, yeah, and the nucleus and the cytoplasm of the type 2 pneumocytes protrude toward the lumen. And this type 2 pneumocytes have function in secreting the surfactant, yeah. Surfactant, the shown by the blue color here or blue membrane here. Surfactant from a thin and elastic membrane that covers the entire surface of the alveolar walls. And this is the macrophages. And then the capillary lumen lined by endothelial cells. Then this is the interstitial or the alveolar septa. Um, and then the pathology of lung disease, type of lung pathology according to the cause categorized into 5 types. The first one is the congenital anomaly. For the example is hamartoma, and then inflation disorder. There are atelectasis and emphysema, metabolic disorders like calcification, and then circulatory disorders such as hyperemia, congestion, hemorrhage, and edema, and finally inflammation of the lung that can divided into 3 types, three main types, yeah, bronchitis, bronchiolitis, and pneumonia. Okay, the first one is hamartoma, also called congenital cystic disease or congenital adenomaltoid malformation. This is one form of congenital lung disorders, rarely occurs in animals except in cattle, and it will result in dystocia, especially in cattle. Dystocia is difficulty to giving birth, yeah, to giving birth a newborn baby or newborn calf. In severe cases, the fetus generally dies several hours after birth. The macroscopic appear as enlarged lungs, and microscopic lesion can be presented by bronchial hypoplasia, widespread dilation of the bronchioles, and alveolar abnormalities.
Oh, Jawa ya, Pak.
Iya, jelas banget kan
Banget.
aksennya. Iya, aksennya very Japanese like me. Terus beliau kayaknya dosen baru kan. Buset, tapi menurutku entah karena jam terbang atau apa, beliau kalau ngajar tuh kayak banyak ngono loh. Jadi aku sing ngrungokne bosen ngantuk.
Sorry, suaranya bocor. Sudah di-mute ya?
Maaf, dokter.
Oke. Okay, then atelectasis. Atelectasis is the loss of the lung's ability to expand that can occur in part of all of the lungs, and the cause is various in several animal species. In the fetus, can cause fetal atelectasis, and in young animals, neonatal atelectasis, and in adult animals, compression atelectasis, obstructive and hypostatic atelectasis. And the prognosis in acute can be reversible, and in chronic irreversible and can cause death in the animals. The macroscopic lesion is the shrunken lungs and the dark discoloration of the lungs, and edema fluid in the chest cavity or hydrothorax. And the microscopic lesion, shrunken alveoli, air spaces become narrow or disappears, and the interstitial tissue appears thickened, and there is no inflammatory reaction. This is the differentiation of atelectasis in animal and the causative factors, the lesion, and can occur in some animal species, certain animal species. In the fetal atelectasis, caused by no effort to breathe during development of the fetus lung. And the lung tissue is not well developed and can occur in all animals. And the neonatal atelectasis or neonatal respiratory distress syndrome caused by obstruction of the upper respiratory tract by mucus or congenital upper respiratory tract abnormalities and anoxia due to dystocia. And the lesions are immature type 2 pneumocyte cells, lack of surfactant, and lack of blood flow or hypoxia. And then the compression atelectasis can be caused by physical stress from pneumothorax, hydrothorax, hemothorax, empyema, tumor, and blood. The lesions are fluid can be found in the chest cavity, tumor, and collapse lobe. And then the obstructive atelectasis. The obstructive atelectasis is caused by obstruction of the upper respiratory tract by exudate, parasites, foreign body, and tumors. Congestive atelectasis or pulmonary shock can be caused due to severe infection or septicemia, and then blood loss and mechanical trauma, and then hypostatic atelectasis due to disturbance of blood-air balance, lack of surfactant, and failure of drainage process. And then this is the histopathological figure of atelectasis. The right picture is the atelectasis and the left lung is the normal one. And this is another figure of atelectasis. This is the normal alveoli in the upper picture, and in the lower part is the atelectasis. We can see there is a narrowing of the alveolar lumen and thickening of the septum interalveolaris. And this is the cross lesion of the pulmonary atelectasis, especially in the neonatal atelectasis in calf. And the part affected by the atelectasis have darker discoloration. And this is the lung that one lobule of the lung affected by the atelectasis and appears darker. And this is the cross-lesion of compressive atelectasis and hydrothorax. This is the part of the atelectasis. The organ the tissue are shrunken, yeah, and have darker discoloration, and this is the transudate or pneumothorax or hydrothorax. And then emphysema is an abnormal and permanent enlargement of the airspace in the distal area of the lungs to the bronchioles, accompanied by damage to the alveolar walls. Can be caused due to bronchopneumonia, bronchitis, tuberculosis, parasites, and based on the size of the airspace diameter and its location, can be divided into alveolar emphysema, interstitial emphysema, and bullous emphysema. And the organ will be enlarged and have pale color. And the classification of emphysema based on the distribution can be classified into 4 types, yeah, or 4 categories. The first one is centrilobular or centriacinar emphysema, and then panlobular or panacinar emphysema, paraseptal emphysema, and irregular emphysema. The first type of emphysema is acute alveolar emphysema that occur as compensation for atelectasis or pneumonia. The macroscopic lesion of this type of emphysema is presented by small air bubbles on the surface of the lungs. And in the histopathological lesion, we can find the dilatation of the alveoli and often accompanied by congestion or edema or pulmonary edema, pulmonary fibrinous pneumonia, and sometimes there are infiltration of inflammatory cells and the thickening of the septa. And then chronic alveolar emphysema, the causes can be from the continuation of acute emphysema, chronic cough, and chronic bronchitis. And the macroscopic comparable to that of acute emphysema with the following modification: right heart dilatation, eccentric hypertrophy, tricuspid valve insufficiency, and hydropericardium. And the last one is venous congestion. And then interstitial edema, the interstitial emphysema occurs due to tearing of the alveolar septa that can occur due to worms or metazoa larval migration, pulmonary tuberculosis, or rib fractures. There are air bubbles in the interstitials on the cross lesion, and if the air bubbles larger from 1 centimeter, it is called bullous emphysema. And this is the cross lesion of bullous emphysema secondary to the suppurative bronchopneumonia. And this is the lesion. The cranioventral consolidation of the lungs with a large pocket of gas bulla in the parenchyma. And this is another case of the emphysematus bullae, and the lesion of or the bulla are scattered throughout the lung parenchyma. And the distribution of emphysema, this is the schematic example of the normal acinus, and the B and C figure show the type of emphysema distribution. The first one is the centriacinar emphysema, that the emphysema occur in the respiratory bronchioles, and it can spread to until the alveolar sac. And the panacinar emphysema, the initial distension is started from the alveolus part of the lung. This is the cross-section of centriacinar emphysema in the left figure. The central area show marked emphysematous damage and surrounded by relatively spread alveolar space. And the right figure here is the pan-acinar emphysema that involving the entire pulmonary lobe. Okay, this is another case of the bullous emphysematus. The lungs are hyperinflated and large balloon-like subpleural bullae are present. This is the bulla in the apical area of the lung parenchyma. And this is the histopathological view of the emphysema. We can see the alveolus become enlarged and the alveolar septa are ruptured. Okay, this is another figure. And then bronchiectasis is a permanent dilation of the bronchus due to the accumulation of exudate fluid followed by rupture of the bronchus wall. The macroscopic lesion can be prominent lump appears due to the dilation of the bronchus containing exudate, and then the incision plane of the dilated bronchus contain purulent exudate. And we can find dilation or dilatation of the bronchus that containing inflammatory cells accumulation, mainly neutrophilic cells in the lumen of the bronchus. And this is the cross-relation of bronchiectasis with chronic bronchopneumonia. The bronchiectasis lesion shown in this area where the parenchyma become shrunken and firm and also have dark color, and the tissue here is the bronchus that have accumulation of pus or purulent exudate in the lumen. So it makes the bronchial wall dilated and become thin. And if we do incision in this area, the pus or the purulent exudate can be shown here. And then pneumonia or pneumonitis is a term used to refer to any inflammation that occurs in the lung, whether it's acute or chronic. The classification based on the incubation period, etiology, distribution, and the stage. The route of infection by pathogenic organism in the lungs can be through two paths, through the bronchi or bronchogenous or aerogenous, and through the bloodstream or hematogenous from the circulation systemic infection. And the bronchogenous route will cause inflammation around the bronchi or only cover one lobule, so it called bronchopneumonia or lobular pneumonia. Bronchopneumonia occurs together with the bronchitis or bronchiolitis, and the hematogenous route can sometimes cause septicemia, and the infection can be lobular or lobar pneumonia. That's sometimes called fibrinous pneumonia because there is fibrin deposition in this type. This is the distribution schematic of the pneumonia. Focal pneumonia. So the inflammation in the lung parenchyma distributed focally, and then the lobular pneumonia involving some lobules of the parenchyma of the pulmo, and lobar pneumonia usually in the cranioventral part of the pulmo, and diffuse, and the last one is diffuse distribution of the pneumonia or the lung inflammation. Distribution based on the pulmonary lobules can be classified into two types, lesion or pathological condition. The first one is the bronchopneumonia that usually caused by infection by Pasteurella multocida, and then the parasitic pneumonia by Dictyococcus. And this lesion, usually have lobular distribution. And then lobar distribution of pneumonia distributed in several, most or almost of the lung lobes. It can lead to fibrinous pneumonia, for example, in the shipping fever disease, actinobacillosis, and pleuropneumonia. And then the diffuse pneumonia distributed throughout the lung. For example, in the interstitial pneumonia and pulmonary edema. And this is the morphologic types of pneumonia in domestic animals. For example, bronchopneumonia or suppurative or lobular pneumonia usually caused by bacterial infection through the aerogenous spread, and the distribution of the lesion is cranioventral consolidation. It can cause the firm texture of the lung and the purulent exudate in the bronchi. And then the bronchopneumonia in the fibrinous type or lobar distribution. And then interstitial pneumonia, usually can be caused by infection that use the route of aerogenous or hematogenous, and the lesion is diffuse, and it can cause the elastic texture of the lung with rib imprints. And then the granulomatous pneumonia, usually the distribution is multifocal, cause nodular lesion in the parenchyma, and the exudate can be in the type of pyogranulomatous, caseous, or calcified. And then the embolic pneumonia means that there is infectious emboli, usually from bacteria or from bacteria, bacteria that spread hematogenously and become septic emboli, and the lesion are multifocally distribution, and it can also induce nodular lesion, and the exudate are purulent or suppurative. And then this is the pattern of the pneumonia and some lung lesions. And then the focal pneumonia, the inflammation occurs locally with a relatively small lesion diameter, but can also spread widely to the lobules and the lobes. The types can classified based on the pathogenesis, such as embolic pneumonia, local abscess, granulomatous, primary neoplasm of the lung, metastatic neoplasm from another organ, for example, from breast to the lungs, and parasitic neoplasms. Lobular pneumonia is the inflammatory process occurs in one lobular unit of the lung lobes, and the inflammation occurs in the bronchioles to the alveoli in a particular lobules. Infectious agents generally enter through the airway, and the infection is acute. And the cross lesion of the lobular pneumonia are irregular spots or multifocal inflammation or multifocal necrotic on the lung surface, and mucopurulent exudate, and can be accompanied by bleeding or hemorrhagic, granulitic or necrotic in the lobules. The microscopic lesion, there is exudate formed by neutrophilic cells, fibrins, and cell debris in the lumen of the upper respiratory tract. Lobar pneumonia, the inflammatory process occurs evenly in most or all parts of the lung lobes, and generally in the form of fibrinous inflammation or fibrinous pneumonia. Occurs in the anteroventral area or cranioventral area of the lungs, and the fibrinous exudate can spread to the surface of the pleura, and the infection is acute. For example, fibrinous pneumonia in cattle, in fever shipping disease due to Mannheimia hemolytica infection, and pleuropneumonia in pigs due to actinobacillus or actinobacillosis. The lungs become pale, swollen, hard, and coated with fibrinous exudate in the pleura, and can be accompanied by hemorrhage, necrosis, mucopurulent exudate, and gangrene if the pneumonia become gangrenous. And in the early stage of the inflammation, the histopathological lesion can appears as hemorrhagic in the parenchyma and congestion in the septa alveolaris, and in advanced stage the necrotic area is limited by leukocyte cells, by neutrophils, and the neutrophil can fill or accumulate in the lumen of the alveoli, mixed with bacteria and fibrin. This is fibrinous bronchopneumonia or pleuropneumonia cross-lesion. And this is the histopathological lesion of fibrinous bronchopneumonia. This is the fibrin that mixed with cellular debris and the neutrophilic inflammatory cells. And this material filled the lumen alveoli. And there is some infiltration of lymph of leukocytes or inflammatory cells in the septum interalveolaris. And then diffuse pneumonia, the inflammatory process occurs in most or all of the lungs, also called interstitial pneumonia. And the inflammation occurs in all parts of the lung, including interalveolar